Hey penguins! In an ever-expanding universe, it's hard to believe we're the only planet with potential for life. Well, we're unraveling concrete alien and UFO sightings from the past to the present, so buckle up! Nuremberg Sighting. Back in 1561, things got seriously cosmic in Nuremberg, a free imperial city of the Holy Roman Empire. What was meant to be just another day sparked the first ever discussion regarding aliens. In a sudden turn of events, the sky lit up, and everyone craned their necks to watch the sky bedazzle. They saw what looked like a sky battle happening right above them. An ordinary day would now go down in history as mankind's first encounter with aliens. As the people looked on, out popped this massive black triangular thing, and these tuckered out fighters started falling to Earth, surrounded by clouds of smoke. But this isn't where the odd sighting ends. Witnesses later on reported seeing all kinds of puzzling shapes zooming in the sky. We're talking spheres, cylinders, crosses, and even a black spear. There's even this old-timey news article from April 1561, and it spills the beans on what went down. The woodcut illustration from that time shows all of it. Crosses, spheres, crescents, you name it. So whether you believe it was an outer-worldly spectacle or something else, Nuremberg 1561 was surely a showstopper. Little did our ancestors know we'd be encountering aliens one day too. Shocking Aurora Discovery. Now, let's use our time turner and arrive at Aurora, Texas on April 17, 1897. This tiny town, just a hop away from Fort Worth, had a real-life close encounter. Just like you'd see it happen in the movies, a cigar-shaped airship fell from the sky and smashed into a windmill, and the lives of the witnesses were never the same. Dallas Morning News unveiled the UFO crash 2 days later. The windmill was on Judge J.S. Proctor's land, and seeing it pulverized shocked him to his core. And this strange turn of events occurred just before the crack of dawn. Eager to inspect the ruins, a flock of people ran to the crash site, and what they saw upset them. The pilot? Well, they reckon he wasn't your average Joe. Nope, the people were saying he was downright extraterrestrial, even calling him a Martian. And get this, an Army Signal Service officer from Fort Worth, a certain T.J. Weems, backed up the Martian theory. To the dismay of many, the alien pilot didn't make it out of the ruckus alive. Despite the citizens believing he wasn't human, people gave him a proper Christian burial in the Aurora Cemetery. Now that's a tale that stuck around for quite a spell, much like the next sighting. Eerie Roswell Sighting. Back in the scorching summer of 1947, the world was still reeling from war. But on a dusty New Mexico ranch, history was about to be made. Rancher W.W. Brazel strolled into the sheriff's office claiming he'd stumbled upon a flying disc on his property. The very next day, the base shot out a news flash, a flying saucer found. But quick as a wink, they retracted it. Except Roswell's fate as the UFO capital was sealed. This event birthed the UFO era, igniting a wildfire of sightings and alien fantasies. As historian Roger Launius puts it, people have seen things they can't explain for centuries. But the Roswell incident is a real roller coaster when it comes to the government's version of events. At first, they were all in on the flying saucer hype, making headlines in the Roswell Daily Record. But faster than you can say weather balloon, they did a 180, claiming it was just debris from one. Of course, even those skeptical about alien sightings couldn't help but notice that the government kept changing tracks. The zigzagging continued for years. Finally, in 1994, the US Air Force dropped a bombshell, admitting the weather balloon story was pure fiction. Instead, they pointed fingers at Project Mogul, a covert operation involving high-altitude balloons with microphones spying on the USSR. This gadgetry was supposed to listen in on Soviet atomic bomb tests from a sneaky distance. Because Mogul was top secret, they had to cook up the weather balloon tale to keep their snooping under wraps. As for those whispers about alien bodies, a 1997 follow-up report casually brushed them off as parachute test dummies. But get this, researchers dug deep into Soviet records and found no evidence for this mysterious project. Is it possible the truth was buried along with all the other evidence? While they can attempt to douse the flames of this rumor, they've had a hard time staying mum for this next sighting. 1952 UFO Frenzy. Let's move on to July 1952, when the skies above Washington, D.C. went a bit bonkers. On a lonesome night at the Washington National Airport, air traffic controller Edward Nugent spotted several mysterious flying objects. He was dead certain his mind was not playing tricks on him, so he called in his colleagues. They confirmed that he, in fact, wasn't seeing things. But when those bright objects were detected over the White House and the Capitol, that's when things became serious. Fighter jets from Newcastle Air Force Base swooped in, but the UFOs vanished, leaving the jets high and dry. When the jets returned for fuel, their radar picked up the UFOs again. It's like they were playing peekaboo with the jets. Then, on July 26, another sighting made big waves. A pilot and flight attendant noticed weird lights in the sky. More fighter jets took off to solve this mystery, but guess what? Those UFOs were faster than a speeding bullet. The pilot tried to chase them, but failed again. President Truman smelled something fishy and asked Project Blue Book, the Air Force's UFO investigation squad, for a chat. They were all quizzical, wondering if these UFOs were a national security threat, especially in the middle of the Cold War drama. Then the Air Force called a press conference claiming it was all weather-related. Except the head honcho of Project Blue Book, Captain Edward Ruppelt, wasn't even in the loop. So he cried foul, saying this wasn't a run-of-the-mill weather issue. So, was it a classic case of covering tracks? Project Blue Book chugged along till 1969, concluding that UFOs weren't a security threat and they weren't alien gadgets. Fast forward to 2021, and the Office of the Director of National Intelligence spills the beans on unidentified aerial phenomena. Turns out, their reporting practices were more muddled back then, but now they're more sure than ever that it was a UFO. Except, as time moved on, these alien sighting stories became more sinister. 1961 Alien Abduction. Betty and Barney Hill cruised through New Hampshire's White Mountains on a crisp September night in 1961. Suddenly, they spotted something in the sky that wasn't just any old shooting star. It was getting bigger and brighter with every mile. Now, being the practical guy, Barney thought it was just a satellite gone a bit off course. But the problem was, this strange object wasn't playing by the rules. So they pulled over, grabbed some binoculars, and Betty's jaw dropped. What they saw wasn't a star at all. Oh no, the object was whirling in the air. The object continued hovering just above the treetops as time elapsed, like a stone's throw away. Barney's pulse was racing, but he grabbed his trusty handgun, left Betty in the car, and headed into the field. What he saw next defied expectations. His eyes landed on an object as big as a jet, but flatter than a pancake. Inside, gray beings were peering at him through the windows. Try as he might, but he couldn't even raise his hand to his gun. Next thing they knew, they were back on the road, 2 hours missing, 35 miles down the highway. Back home, they wondered aloud about what on earth, or not on earth, just happened. So they sought help, and through hypnosis, their wild story unraveled. They described being taken aboard this metallic disc and being examined from head to toe by these gray beings. Of course, their story sounded like it was a script of a B-movie, but the story gets wilder. Betty even claims to have chatted with one of them. As for the aftermath, their tale became the stuff of legends. It wasn't the first UFO sighting, but boy did it capture the nation's imagination. Suddenly, abduction accounts were all the rage, complete with medical exams and missing time. The National Investigations Committee on Aerial Phenomena scientific advisor interrogated the pair and considered their story plausible. As for Betty, she began her knee-deep research on UFOs and aliens. All we know is that we seem to be getting closer to the truth. Randlesham Forest Incident. Even British history is tainted with alien sightings. In 1980, a bizarre event unfolded in the heart of England near RAF Bentwaters and RAF Woodbridge. Military brass found themselves face to face with an unearthly, luminous object amidst the trees. It gleamed with an otherworldly metallic sheen, casting an intense radiant glow. Upon closer inspection, they discovered peculiar cryptic symbols etched into the object's surface. It was as if alien script adorned this enigmatic craft. By 4 a.m., local police arrived but saw only the distant Orford Ness Lighthouse. Daybreak unveiled a bizarre scene. 3 impressions on the ground, arranged in a perfect triangle, alongside burn marks and broken branches. Lieutenant Colonel Charles Halt led an investigation on December 28, measuring radiation levels. Though elevated, it wasn't off the charts. A flashing light in the distance and star-like formations in the sky added to the puzzle. By then, the people living nearby had already caught on that something sinister was lurking in their neighborhood. Eager to not let a panic break out, the UK Ministry of Defence jumped in. They immediately deemed the case non-threatening to national security and convinced people it wasn't a security concern. But even today, people wonder about this eerie phenomenon. Was it a UFO or some declassified military-grade weapon that caused such a frenzy? Who is to say? UFOs in Belgium. Keeping with the Americans in English, another country joined their knee-deep investigation into alien sightings. Back in November 1989, Belgium got hit with some serious UFO action that put this quaint country under the spotlight. It seems that a lot of people had spotted them but had only begun filling out reports later. What they were describing was a big, low-flying object. But here's the kicker. They say this thing had a flat, triangle shape with lights underneath. Fast forward to the night of March 30th, 31st, 1990. That's when things went to the next level. A radar tracked one unknown object, and the Air Force even scrambled 2 F-16s to check it out. Except the pilots didn't spot a thing. No reports came in from the public that night. But get this, over the next 2 weeks, 143 people claimed they saw the mysterious object. Here's where it gets even crazier. In the months that followed, tons of others came forward saying they had seen it too. The Belgian Air Force even dropped a report about the whole shebang. But here's the twist, the F-16 pilots didn't see squat, and the radar blips they got? Turns out they were just locking onto each other. But this puzzling event wasn't over. After hovering in the airspace for a few hours, things picked up around 1:30 a.m. and got weird. Gendarmes from Wavre described 4 lights forming a square shape, making jerky moves before slowly dimming out and vanishing in different directions. They even mentioned hearing a low engine noise and spotted something that looked like a chopper. Crazy, right? Of course, a lot of critics tried to squash these rumors, but the videos online displaying the evidence aren't doctored, that's for sure. Much like this next sighting, which was crystal clear to onlookers. The Phoenix Lights. On March 13, 1997, around evening time, the people in Henderson, Nevada spotted a big V-shaped thing cruising southeast. Then, at 8:15 p.m., a former cop in Paulden, Arizona saw a bunch of reddish-orange lights vanish down south. Right after, reports started flooding in about lights dancing over Prescott Valley, Arizona. But this is where it gets a little twisted. Citizens Tim Lay, his wife Bobby, son Hal, and grandson Damian Turnage got in on the action when they were about 65 miles away. These lights started as 5 separate ones, forming an arc, kind of a balloon setup. But guess what? They started heading their way. Over about 10 minutes, things got even more peculiar. The lights got closer, spread out, and bam! They turned into an upside-down V-shape. When they were just a couple of miles out, the Lay family said they could see a shape, like a carpenter square at a 60-degree angle, with the 5 lights set in, 1 at the front and 2 on each side. Then, the shape started gliding its way, maybe 100 to 150 feet above them, moving so slowly it seemed like it was just hanging in the air. It began sliding over their heads and cruising through a V-shaped opening in the mountains toward Piestewa Peak Mountain and off in the direction of Phoenix Sky Harbor International Airport. Around 8:30 to 8:45 p.m., folks in Glendale, a suburb northwest of Phoenix, spotted this light formation zipping overhead, high enough to vanish into some thin clouds. Around 10 p.m., loads of folks in the Phoenix area started chattering about a line of super bright lights just hanging in the sky or slowly descending. People went all paparazzi, snapping photos and videos. This led author Robert Schaefer to call it maybe the most watched UFO event ever. But eager to shut down all the talk regarding aliens, Arizona Governor Fife Symington III decided to share his 2 cents and dismiss these sightings as fake. Except, he was hiding a secret. In 2007, Symington supposedly revealed to a UFO investigator claiming he had a close encounter of the third kind with an alien ship. He said he kept quiet back then to avoid causing a citywide freakout. Symington, a pilot himself, emphasized how this thing was bigger than anything he'd ever seen. It's still a head-scratcher. To him, this UFO sighting was no joke. People would only take him seriously after the following incident came to light. The Turnpike Lights. Now, you've heard about don't text and drive, but maybe the people of New Jersey need a different logo. It takes a lot for drivers to pull over alongside a highway and stare up at the sky, but on July 14, 2001, motorists on the New Jersey Turnpike did just that. Who cared about potential traffic accidents? Something in the sky had caught everyone's attention. They marveled for about 15 minutes shortly after midnight at the sight of odd orange and yellow lights in a V configuration. This odd sight hovered over the Arthur Kill Waterway, which connects Staten Island, New York, and Carteret, New Jersey. That night, Lieutenant Daniel Tarrant of the Carteret Police Department was one of the witnesses. Naturally, a frenzy began. All kinds of questions plagued the minds of onlookers. Could they make out the shapes in the sky? Was it a plane? A bird? Always ready to swat away any public chaos, air traffic controllers intervened. They were grilled about these sightings. They casually laid all the blame on planes, jets, or rockets. But there's more to this story than meets the eye. A squad called the New York Strange Phenomena Investigators piped up, saying they got their hands on some FAA radar data that backed up those UFO sightings from that very night. Now that's what I call a mystery in the skies. But this wasn't the only one that created massive hype. The USS Nimitz Encounter. You won't believe this routine mission off the Southern California coast back in November 2004. Pilot Alex Dietrich and her commander David Fravor, flying with the USS Nimitz in the USS Princeton, they were called in to check out some crazy radar blips by another ship. But things got weird fast. When they tried deciphering their readings, they realized the detected object had no identification. All they could tell was something was hovering at a 100-mile distance. They failed at decoding it and waited for a second chance to solve this mystery. Then, for 2 solid weeks, the crew went on a wild goose chase, tracking these things popping up at 80,000 feet, then zipping down to hover right above the Pacific Ocean. Finally, 2 FA-18F fighter jets straight from the USS Nimitz rolled up, ready to make sense of these strange activities. They arrived near the location to engage with this object, but what they saw shocked them. The water began churning like crazy, with a shadowy oval thing just beneath the surface. And then, like magic, a white tic-tac shaped object just popped up out of nowhere. No logos, no engine, no wings, no windows, nothing. And get this, their infrared scans couldn't detect it either. The crew decided to chase it, certain they'd be able to end this wild chase. Good luck, right? This eerie object kicked into high gear, leaving everyone in its cosmic dust. Now their radar said it was a cool 60 miles away already. We're talking 3 times the speed of sound and double that of our trusty fighter jets. You can't make this stuff up. As for the pilot, Alex Dietrich, she joined her fellow pilot David Fravor on 60 Minutes to discuss their mind-blowing 2004 encounter. Her story hasn't changed in 17 years. They saw something out of this world, something beyond explanation. It could have been some weird natural thing or human activity, but the point is, it was bizarre and unrecognizable. But the alien sighting mania was about to come to light once again. OMMUA Mystery. Was it an asteroid, a comet, or an alien spacecraft? OMMUA, a mysterious asteroid up to 400 meters long, entered the solar system and confused astronomers to no end. It was discovered on October 19, 2017, when it was spotted by a telescope in Hawaii as it flew past the sun, reaching a high speed of 87 kilometers per second. That was far too fast to have originated in the solar system. The object was labeled OMMUA, which is Hawaiian for a messenger from afar arriving first. Now, what makes OMMUA so intriguing is its oddball shape. Picture a tumbling, elongated thing roughly 800 meters long and 80 meters wide. That doesn't sound like your typical space rock, right? Plus, it had this crazy reflectivity, like it was polished with a cosmic shine, suggesting it might have been made of metal or something super reflective. As OMMUA cruised by the sun, it picked up some extra speed that couldn't be explained by gravity alone. Usually, comets get a boost from gas emissions, but no signs of that were spotted around OMMUA. And get this, it's not even from around here. Its speed and trajectory point to an origin far beyond our solar system. So, it's a genuine cosmic nomad, or part of an alien probe? Shockingly, the brainiest men on the planet are backing this theory. In late 2018, Harvard alums Avi Loeb and Shmuel Bialy wrote a lengthy paper on this puzzling sighting. So, what did they say? To them, OMMUA had been nothing less than humanity's first contact with an extraterrestrial intelligence artifact. Interestingly, their research arrived at a time when the whole US government was warming up to aliens. The truth revealed. Now, here comes the sequel. The summer of 2020 was the year of enlightenment. The Pentagon had decided to come clean. They had birthed a new program right out in the open. Welcome to the Unidentified Aerial Phenomena Task Force. Their gig? To carefully examine all available evidence and sniff out, dissect, and catalog any suspicious findings that can threaten US national security. And to prove their theories, they've been busy burning the midnight oil. In June 2021, the Office of the Director of National Intelligence dropped a big report that stopped people in their tracks. This was no ordinary report, it was congressionally mandated. It laid out what the UAPTF, along with the FBI and the Office of Naval Intelligence, made of a whopping 144 recent UFO encounters that US government censors had caught wind of. The spotlight was on sightings by Navy pilots, spanning from November 2004 to March 2021. Now, here's the juicy part. All these details have been mentioned in a detailed report that spilled the beans on 18 of those 144 UFOs. These bad boys weren't following the rulebook. Some were chilling out in the sky despite the winds, others were straight up defying the breeze. A few were pulling moves that'd make your head spin, and some were zipping at impressive speeds with no obvious source of power. Oh, and in a handful of cases, military tech picked up radio frequency energy that cozied up with these UAP sightings. So while the US has been one of the first countries to immediately cover up stories on alien sightings, they're finally giving in. And right at the height of public interest in aliens, another shocking discovery has emerged. Aliens in Mexico. Now, cue the drum roll, please. Aliens have never been closer to us. In Mexico City, journalist and UFO enthusiast Jamie Maussan is buzzing with excitement about a groundbreaking discovery. 2 pint-sized mummies sporting elongated noggins and 3-fingered hands made quite a global splash when they were presented at Mexico's Congress. The little bodies, resembling ancient humans with eyes, a mouth, arms, and legs, are carefully laid in glass-topped boxes. Maussan insists they were unearthed near the Nazca lines in Peru back in 2017. But keep your skepticism on the down low because he's backing up his discovery through science. He's flaunting studies and analyses supposedly proving they're around a millennium old and completely unrelated to any known earthly species. One of them, he claims, even had eggs inside. And he's got even brainier guys betting on him. Dr. Jose de Jesus Zeles Benitez, the security of the Navy's Health Sciences Research Institute, stands firmly in Maussan's corner. He believes the DNA tests prove these beings are aliens. Either way, the US can't deny this evidence any longer because they're making progress with investigating extraterrestrials. San Diego UFO Conference. In April 2023, the pace picked up. Now, the US government has revealed they're keeping tabs on over 650 potential cases of what they officially term unidentified aerial phenomenon, but most of us call UFOs. Sean Kirkpatrick, head honcho at the Pentagon's All-Domain Anomaly Resolution Office, is watching these cases closely because they're super weird, and they're adamant that these phenomena seem to have terrestrial origins. Over 200 folks hailing from San Diego and beyond flocked to the A Portal to Ascension conference. This 3-day extravaganza at the Marina Village Conference Center saw investigative journalists, scientists, authors, and filmmakers reveal their freshest discoveries. You can't deny that the Pentagon's keen interest in UFOs and UAPs isn't just some idle curiosity. Neil Gar, the founder of the Portal to Ascension, stressed that this info is key to enlightening society and ushering in an era of harmony and peace. It's all about re-educating humanity, he said. Now would probably be a great time to suggest people rewatch the movie Arrival to learn a thing or two about how to deal with possible alien encounters. Let us know in the comments below which of these alien discoveries stunned you the most, and make sure to subscribe to our channel for more such videos.